Mags on Media continues. Now, here's a clever campaign that caught our eye. Thousands of criminals literally get away with murder each and every year because of a lack of training and awareness in the area of forensics and crime intelligence. A non-profit organization and an advertising agency in Cape Town have teamed up to create a thought-provoking installation around the importance of preserving the evidence at a crime scene. Let's take a look.
The DNA Project, it's a non-profit organization. I started it in 2004. The reason I started it was because my father was murdered, and the evidence that was left behind on his crime scene was never properly collected due to the fact that the crime scene hadn't been preserved. And this is a massive problem in South Africa. Part of the objectives of the DNA Project are to educate and create crime scene awareness amongst the public, amongst first-on crime scene responders, to arrive at a crime scene and not desecrate that crime scene. And it's often an act of negligence as opposed to sabotage, that people walk onto a crime scene and they don't realize that by doing so they're bringing something onto the crime scene that wasn't there before, and possibly taking something away from the crime scene that should be left there because it could be a critical link to who perpetrated that crime. Fox P2 approached us and wanted to be part of our awareness campaign. I didn't have a specific idea as to how we could create greater awareness amongst the public. When they heard about what happened at my father's crime scene, that people walking on the crime scene taking things away, they thought about how can they demonstrate to the public across all sectors of society, across language barriers, etc. How can you demonstrate that destruction of a crime scene very quickly to members of the public, so that they can look at that and think twice, should they ever be part of a crime scene, or should they ever be assaulted, or should they ever be assisting in a crime scene? How can they take that away message not to do that? And when they first approached me with this idea of creating this huge, originally it was in sand, box of sand with a criminal's face, and people walking over that, and they're walking through that sandbox, so to speak, disturbs the criminal's face and therefore the identity of the criminal. And the link to that is that the evidence is the only link that we have as to who perpetrated that crime. I thought it was brilliant.
There were a few obstacles we had to get over when executing this. The most important was finding a suitable venue. It was important that we found somewhere where a lot of different walks of life, a lot of different people commuted, and Cape Town Station turned out being the perfect venue. They've completely redone the inside, and it's a magical, very international kind of feel to it. Once we had that, then obviously securing the permission to go in there was slightly complicated, but it helped a lot that we were doing it for a good cause and for something that was important for the country as a whole. So 600 kilograms of tiny little white stones, the ones you find in your aquarium, were spread out perfectly flat in a 6 by 9 meter installation. And then what they had to do is bring in these hardboard stencils, which were broken up into 2 square meters. There were 12 of them. Place them carefully and spray each layer. So there were 3 colors that went down, so the light grey, darker grey, black. And it took a team throughout the night to get it ready. We had permission to be in there overnight, so by the first train in the morning it was set up and ready.
We filmed it there to be able to show in 1 minute by filming people walking over these stones how quickly a crime scene can be disturbed. But what I didn't realize was going to happen, the 8,000 plus commuters who walked over that box on that day were actually educated themselves, and I didn't expect that to happen. That physical sensation of walking over the stones, the sound, the fact that they visually saw how the stones moved, and in that the face of the criminal was immediately distorted. That physical sensation was so tangible, and the message was so clear as to their actions. That functional awareness they took away with them really made a huge difference. That's something that could save future lives, because should somebody get to a crime scene, have that link to what can happen should they disturb evidence, and they preserve it, and the crime scene evidence is collected by the crime scene experts, if they actually are able to link a perpetrator to that crime and convict them on the basis of that evidence, which is how we convict people, it will prevent that person from perpetrating further crimes, and that's how it saves future lives.
A story now on advertising for good, and here is a very disturbing statistic. Only 8% of schools in South Africa have functioning libraries. Creative director Mike Schalit from the advertising agency Net BBD and his not-for-profit foundation, the Mal Foundation, intends to change that very disturbing statistic. The first township seed library has just been completed in Alexandra here in Johannesburg. The library is built from a shipping container and I'm told is the seed library prototype. The whole idea behind this is to get other corporates in South Africa to follow suit and use this as a model for success. Let's go behind the scenes. Nice to see advertising agencies putting their money where their mouth is, and we salute both the advertising agency, Network BBDO, and the Mull Foundation. Coming up on the program, why radio still has a major role to play in the commercial media mix.